not yet. Well, has anyone come?
Yes, Grace just been with this letter.
A letter? Give it to me.
It's for the doctor, ma'am.
Oh.
It was Miss Tesman's mate who came with it. I'll just put it here on the table.
Yes, do. It'll very soon be light now.
It's quite light, ma'am.
Why, it's broad daylight. And still not back.
Oh, bless you, ma'am. I thought this was how it would be.
You thought so?
Yes. When I heard a certain someone had come back to town again. Well, and when he went off with them. Once heard enough about that gentleman before today.
Don't speak so loud, you'll wake Mrs. Tesman.
Gracious, yes. Let her sleep. Poor thing. Shall I put a bit more in the fire, miss?
No, thank you, not for me.
Very well.
What's that?
It was only the maid.
In here? Oh, yes, I remember now. What's the time, Thea?
It's past 7.
What time did my husband get back?
He isn't back.
Still not back?
No one's come back at all.
And we sat here and kept ourselves awake, waiting up for them till nearly 4 o'clock.
And how I waited.
Well, we might have saved ourselves that trouble.
Did you get a little sleep afterwards?
Oh, yes, I slept quite well, I think. Didn't you?
Not a wink. I couldn't, Hedda. It was simply impossible.
There. There's nothing to worry about. I can see perfectly well what's happened.
Why? What? Tell me what you think, please.
Well, of course, they kept things up frightfully late with the judges.
Heavens, yes, they must have done. But all the same,
And then you see my husband didn't like to come in and disturb us by ringing in the middle of the night. Perhaps he didn't much care to either, not straight after making a lively night of it.
Yes, but where could he have gone?
Why, he's gone up to his aunt's and stayed there, of course. They keep his old room ready.
No, he can't be with them because a letter came a little while ago from Miss Tesman. There it is.
Really? Yes, that's certainly from Aunt Julie. It's her handwriting. Well then, they stayed on at the judge's place, and Ejlert Lovborg, he's sitting, reading to him with vine leaves in his hair.
You're just saying things you don't believe yourself, Hedda.
You really are a little goose, Thea.
Well, suppose I am. Worse luck.
And you look simply tired to death.
I am tired to death.
Well then, you're going to do as I say. You're going to go into my room and you're going to lie down on the bed for a little while.
No, I shan't sleep anyway.
Yes, you are too.
But surely your husband must be home soon, and I must find out at
I'll
once.
let you know all right when he comes.
You do promise me, Hedda, don't you?
You may be sure I will. You just go in and go to sleep in the meantime.
Thank you. I'll try to.
Is there anything you want, ma'am?
Yes, will you make up the fire? I'm simply freezing here.
Bless us. I'll have it warm in no time. There was a ring at the front door, ma'am.
You go and answer it then. I'll see to the fire myself.
It'll soon burn up.
Good morning.
Hedda! What on earth? What, as early as this, eh?
Yes, I got up very early today.
Oh, no, I was so certain you were lying asleep still. Just fancy!
Don't speak so loudly. Mrs. Elvsted is lying down in my room.
Oh, did Mrs. Elvsted stay the night here?
Of course, nobody came to fetch her.
Oh, that's true. Nobody did.
Well, did you have a good time at the judges?
Had you been worrying about me, eh?
No, that would never occur to me. I was just asking whether you had a good time.
Well, it was rather jolly for once. Mostly at the beginning, because then Ejlert read me some of his book. We got there more than an hour too soon. Just fancy. And Brack had so much to see to, but then Ejlert read to me.
Well then, tell me about it.
Oh, Hedda, you can't think what kind of a book that's going to be. I should think it's one of the most remarkable things ever written. Just think.
No doubt that doesn't interest me.
But when he had read it, a perfectly detestable feeling came over me.
Detestable?
There I was, envying Ejlert Lovborg for being able to write a thing like that. Just think.
Yes, I am.
And then to know what the gifts he has, yet he's quite irreclaimable. What a tragedy, eh?
You mean, I suppose, that he is more spirit than other people?
Oh, no, the point is there's not a bit of moderation in him.
And what happened in the end?
Oh, well, I really think the best way to describe it, Hedda, was wild.
Did he have vine leaves in his hair?
Vine leaves? No, I didn't notice any, but he made a long, wandering speech in honor of a woman who had inspired him in his work. Well, that was how he put it.
Did he say who she was?
No, he didn't mean to do that, but I can't imagine it could be anyone but Mrs. Elvsted. You watch.
Oh, well. Where did you part from him then?
Oh, on the way back. The last of us broke up at the same time, and Brack came along to get a breath of fresh air, and so you see we agreed to see Ejlert home because to tell the truth, he'd taken on far more than he could carry.
Yes, I can quite imagine that.
But here's the extraordinary part of it, Hedda. Or rather, I should say the sad part of it. I'm almost ashamed to tell you, for Ejlert's sake.
Oh, go on, so?
Well, as we were on our way home, you see, I fell a little behind the others. Just for a minute or two, you see.
Yes, but what then?
Well, just as I was hurrying to catch them up, what do you think I found by the roadside, eh?
No, how could I know?
Well, you mustn't say anything about it to anyone now, Hedda. Promise me, for Ejlert's sake. Just think, I found this.
Isn't that the parcel he had with him yesterday?
Yes, it's the whole of that precious, irreplaceable manuscript of his. And that's what he's gone and lost, without noticing. It's such a sad...
But why didn't you give the packet back to him at once, then?
Oh, I didn't dare to, and not in the state he was in.
Didn't you tell any of the others you found it either?
No, I didn't. For Ejlert's sake, you know.
So then, there's no one who knows you've got Ejlert Lovborg's manuscript?
Well, no, and no one must find out either.
What did you talk to him about afterwards, then?
Oh, I didn't see him again, because you see, when we got out onto the street, him and 2 or 3 of the others just got away from us. Just think, eh?
Oh, they must have seen him home, then.
Yes, they must have, and Brack went home too.
Wherever have you been since?
Well, I and some of the others went on home with one of the lively lads and had morning coffee at his place, or night coffee, I should put it, but as soon as I've had a moment's rest, and when I think Ejlert's up to it, poor fellow, I'll dash over to him with it at once.
No, don't give it up. Not directly, I mean. Let me read it first.
Oh, I couldn't do that, Hedda. I really couldn't.
You couldn't?
No, you can't imagine how frantic he'll be when he realises he's missed it. Just think, he's got no copy of it. He said so himself.
But can't a thing like that be written again, then rewritten?
Oh, I don't think that would ever work. It's a matter of inspiration, you know.
Yes, of course. I suppose that's it. Oh, by the way, there's a letter here for you.
Really?
It came early this morning.
Oh, Hedda. It's from Aunt Julle. Hedda, she says poor Aunt Rena's dying.
Well, that was to be expected.
And that if I want to see her again, I must be quick. I'll run over there at once.
Run.
Hedda, my dear, do you think you could see it in yourself to come along with me, eh?
Oh, no, don't ask me to do that. I don't want to think of illness or death. You mustn't ask me to have anything to do with ugly things.
Oh, all right then. My coat. Mom, Where are my gloves? Yes. Hedda, you don't think I'll be too late, eh?
Just Brack's outside and asking if he can come in.
At this moment? No, I really can't see him now.
But I can. Ask the judge to come in. The parcel.
Yes, give it to me.
No, I'll keep it for you till you get back. Well, you are an early bird.
Don't you think so? Are you going out too?
Yes, I really must go and see the aunt. Just think, the invalid one, she's dying, poor thing.
Dear, is she? Then you certainly mustn't let me keep you at such a serious moment.
Yes, I really must be off. Goodbye.
It seems to have been rather more than lively at your place last night, Mr. Brack.
So much so that I haven't had my clothes off, Madam Hedda.
Not you either.
As you see. What has Tesman been telling you about the night's adventures?
Oh, just a dull story that they'd gone and had coffee somewhere.
I know all about that coffee party. Ejlert Lovborg wasn't with them, I think.
No, they'd seen him home before that.
And Tesman, too?
No, but some of the others, he said.
Jorgen Tesman really is a simple soul, Madam Hedda.
Heaven knows he is. Is there something behind this, then?
Yes, it's no good denying.
Well, then, let's sit down, my friend, and you can tell your story. Well?
See, I had good reason for keeping track of my guests last night. Or rather, some of my guests.
And I suppose Ejlert Lovborg was one of them.
I must admit he was.
Now you're making me really curious.
Do you happen to know where he and a few others spent the rest of the night, Madam Hedda?
If it's the kind of thing that can be told, then tell me.
It can be told, all right. They fetched up at an extremely lively party.
Of the lively kind.
The very liveliest.
Go on, please. I want to hear some more.
Lovborg had an invitation beforehand as well. I knew all about that. But he refused to go then because he's turned over a new leaf now, as you know.
Yes, up at the Elvsteds. But he went then, all the same.
Yes, you see, Madam Hedda. Unfortunately, the inspiration took him at my place last night.
Yes, I gather he found inspiration there.
A pretty violent inspiration. Anyway, he's changed his mind, I imagine, for we men are unfortunately not always so firm in our principles as we ought to be.
Ah, but I'm sure you are an exception, Mr. Brack. But what about Lovborg?
Well, to be brief, the end of it was that he fetched up at Mademoiselle Diana's rooms.
Mademoiselle Diana's?
Yes, it was Mademoiselle Diana who was giving the party for a select circle of her lady friends and admirers.
Is she a red-haired woman?
Precisely.
Some kind of a singer?
Yes, among other things. And moreover, a mighty huntress of men, Madam Hedda. You must have heard her spoken of. Ejlert Lovborg was one of her warmest supporters in his heyday.
What happened then in the end?
Well, in the end, it seems to have ended on a less than friendly note. Mademoiselle Diana seems to have changed from most tender reception to downright violence.
To Lovborg?
Yes. He accused her or her friends of having robbed him, declared his pocketbook had gone, and other things too. In fact, he seems to have made an appalling scene.
And what was the result?
The result was a general fight in which both the ladies and the gentlemen were involved. Luckily, the police arrived in the end.
The police too?
Yes, but it looks like being a costly game for Ejlert Lovborg, the crazy fool.
Really?
Yes. You see, he appears to have put up a violent resistance. He hit one of the constables over the head and tore his coat to pieces, so he had to go to the police station too.
How do you know all this?
From the police themselves.
So that's how it was then. He had no vine leaves in his hair.
Vine leaves, Madam Hedda?
But tell me now, what is your real reason for following up Ejlert Lovborg's movements like this?
Obviously can't be a matter of complete indifference to me if it comes out of the trial that he came straight from my place.
Will there be a trial too?
Of course. However, that may pass. But as a friend of the house, I felt bound to give you and Tesman a full account of his night's exploits.
And why, Mr. Brack?
Because I have a shrewd misgiving that he means to use you as a kind of a screen.
Why, how can you imagine such a thing?
Lord, we're not blind, my dear lady. You watch. This Mrs. Elvsted, she won't be leaving town again in a hurry.
Well, even supposing there is something between them, there must be plenty of other places where they can meet.
No other home. Every decent house will be closed to Ejlert Lovborg from now on.
And so ought mine to be, you mean?
Yes, I admit it would be extremely unpleasant to me if this man were on a firm footing here. If he were to force his way in, superfluous, an intruder into...
Into the triangle.
Precisely. simply amount to me finding myself without a home.
Yes, the only rooster in the pen, that's your idea.
Yes, that is my idea. And I will fight for that idea with all the means at my command.
You really are a dangerous person when it comes to the point.
Do you think so?
Yes, I'm beginning to think so now. I'm heartily glad you have no hold or power over me, and I hope you never will.
Well, my dear Madam Hedda, you may be right there. Who knows what I might prove capable of in that case?
Now look here, Mr. Brack, that almost sounds as though you were threatening me.
Far, far from it. The triangle, you see, is best formed and maintained by free consent.
That's what I think too.
Yes, well, I've said all I've wanted to, and I must see about getting home again. Goodbye, Madam Hedda.
Are you going through the garden?
Yes, it's shorter for me that way.
And what's more, it's a quiet way.
Quite. I've nothing against quiet ways. In fact, they can be quite attractive at times.
When someone's practicing shooting, you mean?
I don't think people shoot their farmyard roosters.
No, not when one has only the one.
And I tell you, I must go in and I will. Then!
Well, Mr. Lovborg, it's rather late to come and fetch Thea.
Or rather early to come and call on you. I apologize.
How do you know that she's still with me?
They said at her lodgings that she'd been out all night.
Did you notice anything about the people when they said that?
Notice anything about them?
I mean, did it look as though they were drawing their own conclusions?
Oh, yes, of course. That's true. I am dragging her down with me. Actually, though, I didn't notice anything. Tesman isn't up yet?
No, I don't think so.
When did he get home?
Pretty late?
Did he tell you anything?
Yes, I gather things have been very merry at Judge Brack's.
Nothing more?
I don't think so, but anyhow, I was so terribly sleepy.
Ejlert, at last!
Yes, at last. And too late.
What is too late?
Everything's too late now. It's all up with me.
No, don't say that.
You'll say so yourself when you hear.
I won't hear anything.
Perhaps you'd rather talk to her alone, if so I can go.
No, you stay too, please. I beg you to.
Yes, but I won't hear anything, I tell you.
It's not last night's escapades I want to talk about.
What is it then?
Just this. Our ways must part now.
Part.
I knew it.
Because I don't need you anymore, Thea.
And you can stand there and say that. Not need me anymore. But I can still help you, can't I? Surely we are going on working together.
I don't propose to work in future.
What shall I do with my life?
You must try to go on living as though you had never known me.
I can't do that.
Try to, Thea. You must go home again.
Never in this life. Where you are, I will be too. I won't let myself be driven away like this. I want to be there with you when the book comes out.
Oh, of course, the book.
My book and Thea's, for that is what it is.
Yes, that's what I feel it is too. And that's why I have a right to be there with you when it comes out. I want to see honour and respect showered on you again. And the joy, I want to share the joy with you.
Thea, our book will never come out.
Never come out.
Can't ever come out.
Ejlert, what have you done with the manuscript?
Yes, the manuscript.
Where is it?
You better not ask me, Thea.
I want to know, and I have a right to know at once.
The manuscript. Oh, well. I have torn the manuscript into 1,000 pieces.
No, no.
But that's not...
Not true, you think?
Oh, well, of course it is, if you say so yourself. It just sounded so fantastic.
True all the same.
Torn his work into pieces.
I have torn my own life to pieces. Why shouldn't I tear up my life's work, too?
Did you do it last night, then?
Yes, I tell you, into 1,000 pieces, and scattered them out in the fjord. Far out. There at least there is clean sea water. Let them drift in it. Drift with the wind and the tides, and after a time they will sink. Deeper and deeper. As I shall, Thea.
Do you know, Ejlert? This, what you have done, all my life, will seem to me as if you had killed a little child.
You are right. It is like murdering a child.
But how could you? I had a share of the child too.
Oh, the child.
It's all over then. I'll go now, Hedda.
You're not going to leave town, are you?
I don't know myself what I'm going to do. Everything is dark ahead of me now.
You're not going to see her home then, Mr. Lovborg.
Aye? Through the streets. Suppose people were to see her walking this way.
Of course, I don't know what else happened to you last night, but is it something so absolutely irreparable?
It won't stop at last night only. I know that well enough. But the point is, I don't want to live that kind of life. I don't want to start again anymore now. It is the courage to live and to challenge life that she has broken in me.
That pretty little fool has played her part in a human being's fate. Still, how could you treat her so callously all the same?
Oh, don't say it was callous.
To go and destroy what has filled her soul all this long, long time. You don't call that callous?
I can tell you the truth, Hedda.
The truth.
Promise me first. Give me your word that Thea shall never know what I tell you.
You have my word for it.
Good. Then I will tell you that that was not the truth. The story I told you just now?
About the manuscript?
Yes. I didn't tear it to pieces, nor throw it into the fjord either.
Well, but where is it then?
I have destroyed it just the same. Utterly and completely, Hedda.
I don't understand all this.
Thea said that what I had done was as good as child murder too.
Yes, that's what she said.
But that, killing his child, it's not the worst thing a father can do to it.
That's not the worst thing.
No. It was that worst thing that I wanted to save Thea from hearing.
And what is it then, that worst thing?
Suppose now, Hedda, that a man, along towards morning, say, after a wild, righteous night, came home to his child's mother and said, "Look here, I've been here and there, in such and such places, and I took the child with me, in such and such places. And I lost the child. Lost it completely. The devil knows what hands it's fallen into, who's got it in his clutches."
But when all's said and done, well, this is only a book.
Thea's whole soul was in that book.
Yes, I understand that.
Then you understand also that there is no future before us, her and me.
What are you going to do then?
Nothing. Only make an end of the whole business. The sooner the better.
Ejlert Lovborg, listen to me. Could you not see to it that it is done beautifully?
Beautifully? With vine leaves in the hair, as you used to imagine once upon a time.
No, not vine leaves. I don't believe in that anymore, but beautifully all the same. For once. Goodbye. You must go now, and don't come here again.
Goodbye, madam. Remember me to Jorgen and Tesman.
Wait. You will have a souvenir to take with you.
Is that the souvenir?
Do you recognize it? It was aimed at you once.
You should have used it then.
There it is. Use it yourself now.
Thanks.
And beautifully, Ejlert Lovborg. Promise me that.
Goodbye, Hedda Gabler.
Now I'm burning your child, Thea. You, with your curly hair. I'm burning it. Your child and Ejlert Lovborg's. I'm burning it. Burning your child.
Yes, Hedda. Here I am, dressed in mourning. Because my poor sister's trials are over at last.
I have heard already, as you see, my husband sent a note out to me.
Yes, he promised he would. But I thought that to Hedda here in the house of the living, I ought myself to bring the news of death.
That was kind of you.
Oh, Rena should not have died at such a moment. Hedda's home ought not to be sad just now.
She died very peacefully, didn't she, Miss Tesman?
Oh, it was such a beautiful, peaceful release. Oh, she had the unspeakable happiness of seeing Jorgen once more, so that she was really able to say goodbye. Perhaps he hasn't come home yet.
No, he wrote that I shouldn't expect him just of yet, but do sit down.
Oh, no, my dear, precious Hedda, I should like to, but, oh, she has to be prepared and made ready as best I can. She shall go to her grave looking beautiful.
Is there nothing I can help you with?
Oh, Hedda Tesman ought not to do that kind of thing. Nor dwell on the thought. Not at such a time, certainly not.
Thoughts, they are not so easily mastered.
Yes, well, that is how the world works, isn't it? We shall be sewing at home for Rena. But there will be sewing to be done here, too, I know. But that will be of a different kind, thank God.
Oh, it's a good thing that you are back at last.
Are you here, Aunt Julie? With Hedda? Fancy.
Yes, well, I was just going again, my dear boy. Well, have you seen any of those things that you promised to do?
No, I'm really afraid I've forgotten half of them. I must run in again and see you tomorrow. My head is just so muddled today. I can't keep my ideas together.
Oh, but my dear Jorgen, you mustn't take it like this.
No, how then do you think?
Oh, you must be glad in your grief. Glad that this has happened, as I am.
Yes. You're thinking of Aunt Rena, of course?
It will be lonely for you now, Miss Tesman.
Oh, just at first, perhaps, but I know that Rena's little room shan't stand empty for long.
Really? Who do you want to take it, eh?
Oh, there is always some poor sick person in need of caring and attention, unfortunately.
Do you really want to take a burden like that on you again?
Burden? Oh, God forgive you, my child. I have never seen it as a burden.
What if some strange person is going to come in? I don't
Oh, one makes friends with sick folk quite quickly, I understand. But I need something to live for too. Yes, I too. But thank God there's always something or another that an old aunt can lend a hand with around here, eh?
Don't bother about things here.
Just think how happy we three could be together if... Oh, nothing. It'll all come right. Let's hope so, eh?
Well, it seems as though the both of you have a lot to talk to each other about, eh? Oh, and perhaps Hedda has something to tell you too, Jorgen, eh? I must see about getting home again. Dear, dear, how strange it is to think of that Rena is with us and with their own Joachim too.
Yes. Think of it, Aunt Julie, eh?
I almost think the death has affected you more than it has her.
Oh, it's not just Aunt Rena's death. It's Ejlert too. I'm just so worried about him.
Has anything fresh happened to him?
No, I meant to run over to him this afternoon and tell him that the manuscript was in safekeeping.
You didn't find him then?
No, he wasn't at home, but afterwards I ran into Mrs. Elvsted and she said he'd been here early this morning.
Yes, directly you'd gone.
And that he'd said that he'd torn up the manuscript.
He insisted he had.
Oh, goodness gracious, he must have been absolutely off his head. And so, of course, you didn't dare give it to him, did you?
No, he didn't take it.
But you did tell him that we had it.
No, you didn't tell Mrs. Elvsted we had, did you?
Oh, I didn't quite like to do that, but you ought to have told him himself, Hedda. Suppose he goes off and does himself some sort of an injury. Where is the manuscript, Hedda? Look, I'll dash over to him with it at once. Let me have the purse.
I haven't got it any longer.
What on earth do you mean?
I have burnt it. Every last scrap of it.
You've burnt it! You've burnt Ejlert Lovborg's manuscript!
Don't scream, the maid might hear you.
Oh, good God, that's simply impossible!
Well, it's true all the same.
But Hedda, do you realise what you've done? It's against the law to treat lost property like that. You ask Judge Brack, he'll tell you.
I should advise you to talk about it with Judge Brack or with anyone else.
Oh, but Hedda, how could you do something so unheard of? How could an idea like that come into your head? How could you let it come over you? Tell me that, eh?
I did it for your sake, Jorgen.
For my sake, eh?
When you came in the morning and said that he'd been reading to you.
Yes, what about it?
You admitted then that you envied him his work.
Oh, well, goodness gracious, Hedda. I didn't mean it literally.
All the same, I couldn't bear the thought of someone else throwing you into the shade.
Hedda, is it true what you're saying? But I've never known you to show your affection in this sort of a way before.
Well then, you'd better know that, just at present... Oh, No, you can go and ask Aunt Julie. She'll tell you all about it.
I think I understand. Good heavens, Hedda. Can it be possible, eh?
Don't shout so the maid might hear you.
Oh, the maid. No, you really are priceless, Hedda. Oh, it's only Berte. I'll tell Berte myself.
Oh, it'll be the death of me. It'll be the death of me, all this.
What will, Hedda, dear?
This grotesque nonsense, Jorgen.
Nonsense? That I'm so delighted, but... Perhaps I'd better not say anything to Berte all the same, eh?
Oh, why not that too?
No, not quite yet, but Aunt Julie must certainly know about it, and that too, you're beginning to call me Jorgen. Oh, Aunt Julie will be so glad, Hedda. She'll be so glad.
When she hears that I have burnt Ejlert Lovborg's manuscript for your sake.
Oh, yes, that business of the manuscript, but no one must get to know about that. But that you're beginning to feel this way towards me, Hedda. Aunt Julie must certainly hear about that. I should wonder, though, is this kind of thing usual for young wives, eh?
You'd better ask Aunt Julie that too, I think.
Yes, I certainly will, but... The manuscript. Oh, it's dreadful to think of poor Ejlert all the same.
Hedda, my dear, I hope you don't mind my coming again.
What's the matter, Thea?
Is it Ejlert Lovborg again?
Yes, I'm dreadfully worried that some accident has happened to him.
Do you think so?
Good heavens, what makes you say that, Mrs. Elvsted?
Why, because I heard them talking about him today at the boarding house, just as I came in, and there was the most incredible rumours about him in town, too.
Do you know, I heard that too, but I could have sworn he went straight home.
What did they say at the boarding house?
I didn't gather anything definite. Either they didn't know very much or they stopped talking when they saw me. And as for asking, I didn't dare do that.
Let's hope you misunderstood them then, eh?
No, I am certain it was he that they were talking about. And as I heard it, they said something about the hospital or...
The hospital?
No, that can't be true.
Oh, I'm so dreadfully worried about him. So I went to his lodgings and I asked for him there.
Could you bring yourself to do that thing?
There didn't seem to be anything else for me to do. I didn't feel as though I could bear the uncertainty any longer.
But you didn't find him there either, did you, eh?
No. The people there didn't know anything about him. They said he hadn't been home since yesterday afternoon.
Yesterday? Fancy they're saying that.
Oh, I think there can only be one explanation. Something dreadful must have happened to him.
Hedda, suppose I were to go in and make some inquiries.
No, don't get yourself mixed up in this business.
Oh, it's you, Judge.
Yes, it was imperative for me to see you this evening.
I can see that you've had Aunt Julie's news.
Yes, I've heard that too.
Isn't it sad?
Dear Tesman, it depends on how you look at it.
Has something else happened?
Yes, something else.
Anything sad, Mr. Brack?
Mrs. Tesman, that depends on how you look at it too.
Is it something about Ejlert Lovborg?
What makes you think that, madam? Have you heard anything already?
No, not at all, but I...
Oh, good heavens, man, tell us!
Very sorry to say, but Ejlert Lovborg has been taken to the hospital. As a matter of fact, he's dying.
Oh, God!
In hospital? And dying?
So quickly then.
And we parted in anger.
Come now, Thea.
I must go to him. I must see him alive.
It won't be of any use, my dear lady. Nobody's allowed to see him.
Well, at least tell me what's happened. What is the matter?
Surely he never did it himself then, eh?
I'm sure he did.
Hedda, how can you?
Fortunately, you have guessed quite right, Mrs. Tesman.
Oh, how terrible.
So he did it himself. Think of it.
Shot himself.
Rightly guessed again, Mrs. Tesman.
When did it happen, Mr. Brack?
This afternoon, between 3 and 4.
Where did it take place then, eh?
Where? I suppose at his lodgings.
No, that can't be right because I was there between 6 and 7.
Somewhere else, then. I don't exactly know. All I know is that he was found. He had shot himself in the chest.
Just think of it. That he should end like this.
Was it in the chest then?
Yes, that's what I said.
Not in the temple?
In the chest, Mrs. Tesman.
Well, the chest is a good place too, I suppose.
How do you mean, Mrs. Tesman?
Oh, nothing.
And the wound is dangerous, you say?
The wound is absolutely fatal. Most likely it's all over already.
Yes. I feel sure it is.
But Brack, how did you find out all this then?
From one of the police whom I had occasion to speak to.
Something done at last.
Good heavens, what are you saying, Hedda?
That there is an element of beauty in all this.
Mrs. Tesman?
Oh, beauty! Fancy that!
How can you talk of beauty in a thing like this?
Ejlert Lovborg has balanced his account with himself. He has had the courage to do what had to be done.
No, don't ever believe it happened like that. What he has done was done in a moment of madness.
Done in despair.
It was not. Of that I am certain.
Yes, it was. In a moment of madness, just as when he tore up the manuscript.
Manuscript? The book, do you mean? Has he torn that up?
Yes, he did it last night.
Oh, Hedda, we shall never get clear of this business.
That was odd.
But fancy Ejlert going out of the world like that, and not even leaving behind him the thing, the book that would have made his name immortal.
If only we could put it together again.
Yes, if only we could. I don't know what I wouldn't give.
Oh, perhaps we can, Mr. Tesman.
What do you mean, Mrs. Elvsted?
Well, look here. I kept some of the loose notes that he used for dictation from.
Oh, you've kept them, eh?
Yes, I brought them with me when I came away, and they'd been lying in my handbag.
Well, just let me see them.
But they're all in such a muddle, all mixed up together.
But fancy if we could get it straight, though. Perhaps if we help each other.
Oh, let's try at any rate.
It shall be done. It must. I will give my life to this.
You, Jorgen, your life.
Yes, or rather, all of my spare time. My own stuff must wait for the present. You understand, Hedda, eh? This is something I owe to Ejlert's memory.
Yes, perhaps it is.
And so, my dear Mrs. Elvsted, we shall pull ourselves together. Heaven knows there's no use brooding over what's done. We must make our minds as calm as possible, and...
Yes, I will do the best I can.
Well, come along. We shall begin at once. Where shall we sit? Here? No, in the bathroom, in there. Judge, you must excuse me. Come now, Mrs. Elvsted.
Dear Lord, if only it could be done.
What a feeling of release it gives one, Mr. Brack, this business with Ejlert Lovborg.
Release, Madam Hedda? Certainly is a release for him.
I mean, for me. A feeling of release in knowing that there is still such a thing in the world as free and fearless action. Something irradiated with spontaneous beauty.
Dearest Madam Hedda.
Oh, yes, I know what you're going to say, because you're a professional man, too, in your way, like, oh, well.
Ejlert Lovborg meant more to you than perhaps you are willing to admit to yourself. Or am I wrong there?
I don't answer that kind of question. All I know is that Ejlert Lovborg had the courage to live life in his own way. And now this great deed with all its beauty, that he had the strength and the will to break away from the feast of life, and so early.
I'm very sorry. I must deprive you of your pretty illusion.
Illusion?
Which you would have been deprived of soon, in any case.
And what is that?
He did not shoot himself intentionally.
Not intentionally.
No, this affair of Ejlert Lovborg didn't happen quite as I described it.
Have you been keeping something back? What is it?
For poor Mrs. Elvsted's sake, I did make one or two slight modifications.
What were they?
Well, in the first place, he's actually dead already.
In hospital?
Yes, and without regaining consciousness.
What else did you keep back?
The fact that the thing didn't happen at his lodgings.
Well, that hardly makes much difference.
Oh, it does, rather, for I must tell you, Ejlert Lovborg was found shot in Mademoiselle Diana's boudoir.
That's impossible, Mr. Brack. He can't have been there again today.
He was there this afternoon. He came back to demand something that he said they had taken from him. He talked wildly about a child that had been lost.
So that was what?
Now, perhaps it might have been the manuscript, but I gather he destroyed that himself, so it must have been his wallet.
Yes, it must have been that. And it was there, then, that he was found?
Yes, the discharged pistol that had gone off in his breast pocket. The shot had wounded him fatally.
In the chest, yes.
No, it hit him in the stomach.
That too. The ridiculous and the sordid lies like a curse on everything I so much as touch.
There's something more, Madam Hedda. Something that could also be classed as sordid.
What is that?
The pistol that he had on him.
Yes, what about it?
Must have stolen.
And that's not true. That he did not.
No other explanation is possible. He must have stolen it. Now, hush.
Hedda, Look here, it's almost impossible for me to see in there under that hanging lamp. Just think.
Yes, I am.
Listen, I wonder if you would mind our sitting at your writing table for a little while, eh?
No, I don't mind. No, wait a minute, let me tidy it up first.
There's no need for that. There's plenty of room.
No, just let me tidy it, I tell you. I'll take all this and put it in on the piano for the time being. There. Well, my precious Thea, how's Ejlert Lovborg's memorial getting on?
Dear Lord, it looks as though it'll be terribly difficult to straighten out.
But it must be done. There's nothing else for it. And this, getting another man's papers in order, it's just a job for me.
What was it you said about the pistol?
You must have stolen it.
Why precisely stole it?
Any other explanation ought to be impossible, Madam Hedda.
Really?
Of course. Ejlert Lovborg was here this morning, wasn't he?
Yes.
Were you alone with him?
Yes, for a time.
Didn't you go out of the room while he was here?
No.
Think it over. You never out of it for a moment?
Well, perhaps just for a moment out in the hall.
And where was your pistol case in the meantime?
I kept that in. I had it locked.
Well, Madam Hedda?
It was there on the writing table.
And have you looked since to see whether both pistols are there?
No.
Well, there's no need. I saw the pistol Ejlert Lovborg had, and I knew it again at once. From yesterday, from longer ago, too.
Have you got it?
No. The police have it.
What will the police do with the pistol?
See if they can trace the owner.
Do you think they can find out?
No, Hedda Gabler. Not so long as I keep silence.
And if you do not keep silence, what then?
There's always the other way out. The pistol was stolen.
Rather death.
It's the kind of thing one says. One doesn't do it.
Now, supposing the pistol isn't stolen and the owner is discovered, then what happens?
Hedda, what happens then is a scandal.
Scandal?
Scandal! Yes, the thing you have such a deadly fear of. Of course, you'll have to appear in court, both you and Mademoiselle Diana. So you'll have to explain how the thing happened, whether it was accident or homicide. Did he try to pull the pistol from his pocket to threaten her, and is that how it went off? Or did she snatch the pistol from his hand, shoot him, and put it back into his pocket again? She's quite equal to that. She's a hefty young woman, that same Mademoiselle Diana.
But all these repulsive details don't concern me.
No, but you will have to answer the question. Why did you give Ejlert Lovborg the pistol? And what conclusions will people draw from the fact that you did give it to him?
That's true, I didn't think of that.
Fortunately, there is no danger, so long as I see nothing.
So I am in your power, Mr. Brack. From now on, you have a hold over me.
My dearest Madam Hedda, believe me, I shall not abuse the position.
But in your power all the same, and at the mercy to your will and demands, and so a slave. A slave? No. That's what I cannot tolerate, never.
And yet one usually manages to tolerate the inevitable.
Yes, possibly. Well, is it getting on all right then, Jorgen, eh?
Oh, well, the Lord only knows, my dear. In any case, there's months of work there.
Doesn't it feel strange to you, Thea? Here you are sitting with Jorgen Tesman, just as you once sat with Ejlert Lovborg.
Well, if only I could inspire your husband too.
Oh, that'll come all right. In time.
Yes, do you know, Hedda, I really do think I'm beginning to feel something of the kind. But you go back and sit down again with Judge Brack, eh?
Is there nothing here I can help you to with?
Not a thing in the world. Would you be so kind as to keep Hedda company for the time being, my dear Judge?
Give me the very greatest pleasure.
Thanks, but I'm tired tonight. I will go in for a while and lie down on the sofa in there.
Yes, do, my dear, eh?
What is that?
Dance music. Hedda, don't play dance music
and of Aunt Julie and of all the rest of them. I will be quiet in future.
It upsets her, of course, to see us at this sad task. I tell you what, Mrs. Elvsted, you shall move in with Aunt Julie, and I'll come over there in the evenings, and then we can sit and work there, eh?
Yes, I think that would be the best plan.
I can hear perfectly well what you're saying, but how am I going to get through the evenings out here?
Oh, I'm sure Judge Brack would be kind enough to come out and see you.
Yes, I shall call over each and every evening in order to keep you company, Mrs. Tesman.
I bet you're looking forward to that immensely, my dear Judge.
We shall waste away the hours. A glass of whiskey, or a game of chess, perhaps.
Perhaps. Although I've recently discovered that I've never been too lucky at chess.
We shall find some way to amuse ourselves, you and I.
You have it all planned out. Every little detail, every last move. Checkmate indeed.
Ah, now she's playing with those pistols again. Shot herself. Shot herself in the temple. Think of it.
Merciful God. One doesn't do that kind